to some of the most important events or people in history, chances are we're talking about the New England area. Most of those important people are buried right here in cemeteries just like this. Now, some of those people are remembered for making and changing certain laws. Some are remembered for their civil rights movements, or even the founding of this country. However, some of those people from the historic New England area are remembered for more macabre reasons, which you're about to hear about in this video. Cape Cod, Massachusetts has its own creepy tales to tell, including this one from Pine Grove Cemetery at this exact spot in Truro, Massachusetts. Established in 1799, Pine Grove Cemetery is the second oldest cemetery in North Truro, Massachusetts. This location is especially creepy, not because of how historic or how eerily quiet it is, but because of the horrific events that occurred here in 1969. On February 7th, the mutilated remains of a missing woman were found on cemetery grounds. A month later, the bodies of 3 more women were found in the woods surrounding the cemetery. They all had their hearts removed and were covered in human teeth marks. After an investigation, police arrested a suspect the media dubbed Tony Chop Chops and charged him with 4 counts of murder. It is also thought that he could have been responsible for up to 8 other murders in the area. Officials would later release more information on the killings of the 4 women. According to the police, it was in this very crypt that Tony Chop Chops mutilated his 4 victims before disposing them around the woods surrounding the area. The door to this crypt remains open to this day.
All right, I'm headed in to check out the inside. It's creepy in here. Got a very heavy feeling.
As you can imagine, this location is a paranormal hotspot, and many eyewitnesses have claimed to have experienced paranormal activity in and around the crypt. We spent quite some time in this cemetery, and there's no doubt you can sense the overwhelming energy, making Pine Grove Cemetery one of the most creepiest locations in New England.
If that last tale didn't send chills down your spine, wait till we tell you the story of Hannah Cranna, the Wicked Witch of Monroe. Four Corners Burial Ground is the final resting place of Hannah Hovey, aka Hannah Cranna, who was known as the Wicked Witch of Monroe. She had the reputation of using black arts after her husband, Captain Joseph Hovey, passed away, a death in which Hannah herself was rumored to be involved in. Captain Joseph Hovey had an unfortunate accident while out for a walk one night when he unexpectedly fell off a cliff. People in town began to whisper that somehow his wife Hannah was involved, by cursing him to the point of walking off a cliff in a dazed state of mind, possibly under a spell. After her husband's passing, Hannah would insist that her neighbors give her free food and firewood or else they too would suffer a similar fate. Using her reputation, Hannah one day threatened a neighbor to bake her a fresh pie. The neighbor immediately refused, and legend has it that Hannah cursed her, causing the woman to never be able to bake again. There were other instances over the years where Hannah supposedly used her witchy powers. However, the story of her burial after her death may be even more frightening than any curse. Later in her life, knowing her demise was near, Hannah told a neighbor, "My coffin must be carried by hand to the graveyard and I must not be buried before sundown." Hannah died the next day. Now, because of weather-related issues, the locals decided it would be easier to pull her coffin across the snow on a sled, rather than follow her specific instructions before she died. As the townspeople began to pull her coffin up the snowy hill, the coffin came loose and slid down the hill until it reached the front door of her home. The locals tried again, and again, and again. The coffin came loose and slid down the hill every time they tried. Finally, just after sunset, they were able to get Hannah Cranna into her grave. As the locals made their way back down the hill, they discovered Hannah's home completely engulfed in flames. Besides her odd behavior when she was alive, the events of that day only cemented the legacy of Hannah Cranna as the real Wicked Witch of Monroe.
There's a lot of haunted and creepy cemeteries in the New England area. However, it's this one right here in Monroe, Connecticut that's the creepiest of all and keeps calling us back for more. Considered by many to be the most haunted cemetery in the United States, Union Cemetery connects routes 59 and 136 in Easton, Connecticut. This nearly 400-year-old cemetery has been investigated by renowned paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren. They even wrote a book about Union Cemetery titled Graveyard. What makes this location one of the most haunted in New England? The Lady in White, as she is called, has been described as wearing a white gown with long dark hair. She has been captured on film and in photographs wandering Route 59 and among the tombstones at Union Cemetery. The local legend is that the woman in white is the spirit of a young woman who was murdered in the 1940s. However, nobody knows for sure, and nobody even knows her real name. Other creepy and ghostly spirits have been seen by many eyewitnesses over the years. In 2015, Explore New England took part in a paranormal investigation at Union Cemetery. Using an EVP recorder, I asked the same question I ask on every investigation. Is there anybody over here that would like to talk to us? You can speak right into this red light. Is there anybody that would like to speak with us? Can you tell us your name? Is there anybody that would like to speak with us? This cemetery has always been one of the creepiest places I've ever came. And we captured that EVP about 2.5, 3 years ago. And for me, that's what catapulted me into wanting to learn more about the paranormal. And it was a turning point in my life, and it's something I'll never forget.
Buried alive? We have quite a tale to tell you about Midnight Mary. It is Evergreen Cemetery in New Haven, Connecticut, that plays host to the haunting of Mary Hart, aka Midnight Mary. The story of her death is a chilling tale of unusual circumstance. Mary Hart suffered what appeared to be a stroke at midnight in 1872. Members of her family found her lifeless body and quickly buried her. The next night, her aunt had a dream that they had buried Mary prematurely and visioned Mary still alive in her coffin. She begged and pleaded for Mary's remains to be dug up immediately. A few days later, the body of Mary Hart was exhumed from her grave. When they opened her coffin, what they saw truly horrified the family. Mary was certainly dead, however her fingernails were bloody and there were scratch marks along the inside of her coffin. Being buried alive, can you even imagine what a horrible thing to have happened? It's no wonder if her spirit is still here and she's not at rest. I'm going to leave some coins for Mary, out of respect. The people shall be troubled at midnight and pass away. At high noon, just from and about to renew her daily work in her full strength of body and mind, Mary E. Hart, having fallen prostrate, remained unconscious until she died at midnight, October 15th, 1872. The spirit of Midnight Mary has been seen wandering the streets near Winthrop Avenue, where she had lived before her death. Her spirit has also been seen roaming through the cemetery at exactly midnight. Legend has it anyone found wandering Evergreen Cemetery at midnight will come face to face with Mary and shall pass away.